Final Fantasy XIV's Warrior is an aggressive tanking class that deals massive area and single target damage, all while being able to survive even the strongest enemy attacks in the game. Today we're going to overview the ins and outs of tanking with the Warrior in the 4.0 Stormblood update. Now let's get started. We're going to start with the basics. I know this might be boring for some of you expert warriors out there, but don't be mean to the new guys. We've all got to start somewhere. The Beast Gauge is the foundation of the warrior's kit, and learning how to manipulate it efficiently will make you into a monster. The Beast Gauge can hold up to 100 resource points, and those points can be spent on abilities that cost either 20 or 50 of your points. Switching between Defiance and Deliverance, your defensive and offensive stances respectively, will reduce your resources by half. You build resources by using your combos or Infuriate. You spend those resources on spender abilities. The Warrior's builders and spenders are on screen now. I'm sure most of you watching already know what they are, but if you've never played Warrior before, now's your chance. Get out a pen and a piece of paper, take some notes, do whatever you gotta do, but we're moving on. The first thing to learn for main tanking is the opener. In other words, the first few moves you use to start a fight. The way you start a fight has a big effect on how efficiently you'll be dealing damage. The Warrior can apply a slashing resistance debuff to enemies and a damage buff to himself with the Storm's Eye combo, but that combo doesn't generate threat, which means other classes will steal your enemy's attention and they'll get smacked in the face. With a good opener, you can start boss fights with your Storm's Eye combo without having to worry about your friend's glass jaw. I've been finding this combination of moves works very well. Tomahawk, Infuriate, Heavy Swing, Onslaught, Maim, then Storm's Eye. From there, you can go into a Berserk Unchained Butcher's Block to solidify threat, or you can spend your remaining gauge on Inner Beast and switch to Deliverance. But either way, what you do from there can be a bit more regimented. Not including your spender abilities, the Warrior can fit 3 combos in between every Storm's Eye application. I find that the rotation that's on screen now works best because it'll leave you with an even 100 beast gauge at the end of it. How you spend that resource depends on the demands of the fight. If you need more defense, you'll use your beast gauge on Inner Beast. If you're fighting multiple enemies, then you'll use Steel Cyclone. And that segues perfectly into the next topic, which is tanking multiple enemies. Just like with single targets, there's an opener and a rotation you can use to solidify threat and deal optimal damage. The area tanking rotation is on screen now, but while that's happening, we're going to talk about other stuff. TP is an important resource for the Warrior because without it you can't do anything, but you usually don't run out of TP unless you're spamming overpowered. If you're doing a big enough pull, then it's perfectly okay to go crazy with Berserk, Unchained, and Overpower spam until everything is dead, but in groups of 3 or less enemies, you don't have to do that. Also, Raw Intuition is a powerful cooldown, but it straight up doesn't work in big pulls without awareness. And I'm not talking about paying attention, I'm talking about the roll action awareness. Raw Intuition gives you a 100% parry rate, but only from the front. Attacks from the flank or the rear will be critical hits. Awareness nullifies your chance of being critically hit. With all of that said, sometimes big pulls get sloppy and you'll end up messing up the rotation, but it's okay as long as the rest of your group doesn't die, then you're doing your job. Now it's time for us to talk about the important philosophical stuff that will make you a better warrior. Think mitigation first and damage second. If you die because you wanted to do more fell cleaves, everyone else is gonna die and your big numbers aren't gonna mean shit. I had an off-tank partner in a raid group once who insisted on using strength equipment back when that was possible, and he always bragged about doing more damage than me, but he died all the time, so congratulations, you had big numbers for a few seconds, but the raid wiped. Focus on mitigation and doing a clean rotation in Defiance, and only use Deliverance when you know it's safe. There are 2 ways that I like to use to do a big burst of damage with Deliverance. This first combination is for 6 fell cleaves from Deliverance, and shout out to Toby Champ for showing me how to do this. If you're main tanking, depending on the boss you're fighting, the 6 fell cleave rotation isn't that safe to do. It's harder to keep you alive while you're in Deliverance, so if your healer's not on point and you're not using cooldowns appropriately, you're gonna die. The reason it's unsafe is because this rotation requires you to build up gauge from 0 to 100 without the use of Infuriate in order to work. The alternative is the 4 fell cleave rotation. It's a lot safer because you can switch to Deliverance, do what you need to do, and go right back into tank stance. The obvious trade-off is that it does less damage because you're doing 4 Fell Cleaves instead of 6. And I know this because I went to college for 2 years and 6 is bigger than 4. Last thing to talk about is the selection of role actions. When you're doing a raid, this selection will change based on your composition, who's the main tank and who's the off tank, but in a dungeon, there's a bit of preference. I like to run with Rampart, Low Blow, Ultimatum, Anticipation, and Awareness. Once again, Awareness allows you to use raw intuition during big pulls and not have to worry about getting crit. Rampart is great because 20% damage reduction is great. Anticipation is interchangeable with Convalescence, and I can already feel you boiling inside because I said that. I know you're thinking to yourself, parries aren't very good, Convalescence is always better. In a dungeon, you're pulling a lot and you're constantly taking damage. Having a cooldown that you can roll out every 60 seconds feels very good to me. Maybe it's not the best way to go. That's how I like to play. I'm a grown-ass man. I'll do what I want. And finally, Low Blow is nice because trash mobs in dungeons can be crowd controlled while they're trying to do area attacks that would otherwise force you to move and miss out on some DPS. That's the gist of how tanking works for the warrior, but we do have to talk a bit more about stance swapping. Compared to the way warrior was in 4.0, stance swapping requires a lot more finesse and commitment. And you can see that very clearly with 4 Fell Cleaves versus 6. If you want to do the biggest damage possible, you've got to commit to an extended time without Defiance and access to Inner Beast. And I think that's a good thing for the warrior's gameplay. Having to make decisions as opposed to pressing buttons whenever you want feels good. And I'm not saying pressing buttons isn't fun, because a part of me does miss being able to change stances willy-nilly without any penalty. But it's like ice cream. If you can have it whenever you want and you eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, first of all, you're going to get fat, but more importantly, it's not going to taste good after a while. Now, because Deliverance feels like a prize rather than something you can turn on and off at will, it feels more valuable. And if you don't like ice cream, you can switch that metaphor with cake, and if you don't like cake, you're not a real person. So with that said, if there's anything else you guys would like to see with the warrior specifically, feel free to let me know in the comments. I do plan on doing some stuff for the other classes as well, but feel free to leave any suggestions in the comments. On that note, the name of the game, come on, guys, do I have to tell you? I'm gonna let you say it. Okay, I'm gonna trust that you said it. The name of the channel is iBluairJgR Gaming for Comedy. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.